Hello, my name is Eric Normand, and I am reviewing some code in Clojure. I teach Clojure, and this is code from one of my students, and I'm just taking a look at it and giving some hints for where to improve and what to work on next. So I've got this open in projectile, so I can see the directory structure here, and just taking a look at all the stuff that's available. Okay, that doesn't do very much. Not very good with projectile. Okay, so there's a template, there's a meme form. So what this does is it takes an image and some text, and it generates an image with that text on it. So it's a meme generator. So I'm just gonna just get started. So common looks like some utilities. It looks like it's got new UUID. So these are just utilities. Like, looks like a way to get the number of seconds right now at the current timestamp, and then a way to quickly generate a response with the status, the response body, and the content type. Okay. That should be useful. Handler. So this might be the core of the app. Yes, here's the app. Here are some routes. So get is going to turn a meme form. I'm just making myself familiar with what this is doing before I make any real comments. Looks like a way to make a new meme. Get meme by ID. Interesting. And then get meme image. Okay, it's going to have the path, and then it's going to serve everything out of resources, or it'll have a not found. Looks like a standard routing table there. So I'm going to look at each of these things. So create meme form. Where is that? Create meme form. Is that, I see, you did a refer all. So that's my first recommendation. Don't use refer all when you have so many of them, especially if you've got stuff that's not yours. So Composure Core is not yours. The reason I prefer not to use refer all is because then it's easier if you don't use it to find what you're looking for. You can do a text search. For instance, I'm looking for this create meme form. Now I have to guess where it's going to be. So I'm going to guess that it's in meme form here. There, okay, it's in there. Good guess, I guess. Template, okay, I don't know where that's coming from. Maybe it's from templates main, which I saw you use here. Template header, template footer. So I'm just gonna freeform this. It looks good so far. It looks like very nicely formatted, well organized. I said nicely formatted, and then look. When I see this, I think someone needs to clean up their code. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on here. I was looking for a template, which I just found, and it's doing custom body class and passing that to template, prototype, title, content. So I wonder what this is for, what this level of indirection here is for, because it's just passing straight through. I don't know, maybe you had some idea that you might want it to be a little different, and that's fine. It's a code smell when you got a function that does nothing except call another function with the same arguments. It's a code smell. Maybe there's something there. This is weirdly formatted. I didn't even notice that this const is actually should be wrapped around here. So let me there. Okay, now it's a little easier to read. Okay, so you're doing error field first and last. Okay, I see what's happening. I'm actually going to rewrite this here on screen just to there's a few problems and I just don't know where to begin. Okay, so what you're doing is you're trying to make a vector with ul at the beginning. Makes total sense. But you can just as easily do this. Just make it literal. And then you're doing a map v in here. Map v is going to give you a vector back, but you don't need a vector, in fact, because you're about to put it into a vector, so that's not helpful. But what you really want is just to nest a list in there. So with Hiccup, if you have a nested list inside of there, like just real quick, you have something like 1, 2, 3, it will render those in line as children. Okay, if it's a list, not a vector, but a list. So what it looks like you want is something that's more like map fn error field. I'm just going to copy it. So you want a list, not a vector, so you can't use map v. And I do this all the time. It's just about putting, making sure you're doing a list. Okay, and so then you're calling error field li first error field. And so I don't know what that is really. Is this a tuple where there's a first and I see a last over here? That's something to think about. Okay, and then you do the same pattern again. So I'm gonna just ul. I'm gonna undo this pattern and do this one again, and then get rid of that, wrap that around there. Now I'm mapping, and you are mapping fn li error on last error field. Okay, so I don't know, I haven't looked at what this errors data structure is. It looks like it's a sequence or some collection, and it has this is just it's another code smell that you're using first and last, because what about the stuff between first and last? So I don't really get that, but I'm just gonna make a mental note of that. And so this should work. Okay, and it lets you stay in the literals and using a literal vector with a nested list inside. I might actually rewrite this as a for. So it would be error field errors, and then you could bump this up here, get rid of the errors, and then do it again for error in last error field, and then it would just be li error. So to me that's a lot clearer. The nesting is clearer. It's still going to produce the same HTML, but it's just a little bit easier to read, especially since, you know, in the map form the errors comes last, and it's just this nests very nicely as opposed to nesting and then coming back. I tend to use for loops in my Hiccup, just a suggestion. This one should be lined up there. Oops, sorry about that. Just wanted to line that up. It was odd to have it over there. Right, so now I gotta figure out what this does. Errors template, it's calling get errors markup on validator results. Okay, so now I can go look at the validator results. I'm not familiar. I did take a look at this already. I'm not familiar with this system of validation called Metis. But let's take a look. So you have text, font color. This is the meme validator. So I guess this is saying that a meme is going to take a map and it has a key of text and it has to be there. It has to have a certain length, less than 50. It's going to be a valid color, and I see you have a validate color here. So I guess that keyword gets turned into a function reference somehow internally. You have an image. That has to be an image for meme exists. So you have that here. Then you have a size. It's got to be a number less than or equal to 100. Font, validate font exists. You have that here. Font style, validate font style. Great. And then position X, position Y, right here and right here. Okay, so about this code, I mean, this works, and you know, if this is the kind of comment you don't really want to hear, you know, that's fine. Couple of things. To use map as a local, as an argument, say you're redefining the global map, which is that function. You're using it here, and then you're calling it like a function here. So if I wasn't careful and reading the argument list, I might be like, why are you calling map on key, right? And so what I do, I think it's fine to call something map, you know, if it is a map and you're not going to use map inside of that scope, that's fine. But when I don't have a lot of clues in here in the code to show me that, yeah, I'm actually dealing with map lookup with a certain key, look, if I have something like this, like getting the name key out of some person, right? Like, this is very clear what this is. It's such a common pattern that I know, yeah, that's going to be a map, pretty, 99% of the time. Also, if I have something like this, where I have some like literal thing, and then I have something like that, where the key does, I don't know what the key is, but I know I can see it's going to be something. It's going to be name or something else that is missing. So that is also clear. What's not clear is this. So I'm just going to take it way out of context, and now you see, what is that? What is it? It's a function being called on key, and the map already exists as a function. So now I'm confused. I have to start looking like, why is he doing this? Oh wait, is it that he redefined map? Ah, yes, he did. It's one of the arguments. Okay, now I get it. And I'm assuming that means hash map, because map means hash map. So what I do instead is I do get. I actually, don't do the shortcut version. I do a get. And then that way, I'm sure to know what get means. And then I know that that's going to be the map, and that's going to be the key. So I would put that here. And of course, in all the other places down here too. Okay. Now, available memes, I don't know what that returns, but I see you call a .contains on it. So it's going to be some kind of collection. That is, I've never seen this in Clojure code. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it, that every collection has a .contains method, that's for sure. I've just never seen that. What I usually see is something like a set. So if available memes returns a set, something in there, then you can do a contains like that on available memes. And then whatever name. But now I want to see what available memes is, so I'm going to see if that's in config. No. Image processing. There. So it is, ooh, okay. Bad formatting, but I see it now. So you're doing a map and you're putting it into a vector. Okay. Filter is file, file seek on images folder, which I suppose is just a string. Images folder. Okay, I don't know where that's coming from. So now I'm wondering if it's probably in config, huh? Images folder. Okay. Project path is dot. Huh, interesting to do it that way. That's fine. I know file system stuff is always like risky, so you gotta figure out a way that works, and I'm not gonna argue with that. Let's see, available memes. So you're calling .get path and then base name on the files, and then putting that in here. So what's base name? Oh, it's from the file system thing. Okay, so I'm assuming that's figuring out what the file name is without the path, and you're putting it into a thing. So I mean, just a couple nitpicks. You can use map v, that's fine. I might turn this into a thread. This is optional. This is just me like nitpicking here, but you could do this. Boom. Then file seek on that. Then filter dot is file, and then map v base name dot get path, like that. I don't know if that's clearer, but it sort of reads like, okay, first get the images folder, get all the files in there, then filter out only the files, not the directories, and then get the path and turn it into a file name. I don't know. That's not necessary, but there you go. I'm gonna undo it. Okay, so you're calling .contains on it, which, you know what, I'm not gonna argue with it. I'm just thinking maybe you should think about whether you want a set here, because .contains is linear on a sequence like a vector, and so it's gonna search through that every time, when what you could do is just turn it into a set one time, linear run through the set, and then, or sorry, linear run through the vector, and then the .contains will be fast every time. Just a thought. Font, I guess it's going to be the same for this. Now here in this case, where you actually you have a very small number of things and it's right in line, I would definitely use a set. So just as an example, I would do like this: font styles, set, regular, italic, bold, and then just get rid of all that, and I would do contains, font styles, map key. All right, so then I don't know how the validator works, so I'm gonna assume that this is right, that the validator is supposed to return nil if it's valid and a string otherwise. I've never used this system, so and it's going to always have these weird. I mean, weird. I say weird. To me, it seems like it's not weird. It's prescribed. You know, there's a map, there's a key I'm looking at, and there's some options that you're not using for these things, which is fine. You got rematches for color, that's fine. Yeah, I would definitely do something like this. Use a set instead of a dot contains on this. Just clearer what's going on. For these, yeah, maybe leave it. It's up to you. Just as a note, this contains question mark function is the same as contains key, not contains like the dot contains. So just a note. The dot contains is for values, and the contains question mark is for keys. Yeah. Same for here, same for here. You might want to look at a when not, since it doesn't have an else case. It might be a little clearer. Okay, let's look at image processing. This one looks like a lot of stuff going on, so maybe a lot of opportunity for improvement. This to me looks like a map, although it's fine. It doesn't really change anything, but it looks like it could be just a simple map. Get params, merge, image defaults, select keys, params, allowed key forms. Okay. I'm sure I will come to that in a second. Don't know what that is though. Okay, I'm just formatting this so I could see where the nesting was. So positionings, image width, image height, string width, string height. So you're getting half of the width difference, okay, and so that gives you the center of the X. Image height, okay, padding, which comes from text padding. Where is that defined? Is that in config? Text padding, yes. Okay, just want to know. See, it would be really a lot more helpful, because then the name config becomes like, oh, I see, it's a configuration parameter, right? That I just think that this is so much more clear that this is not in scope, it's a global, it's defined in another file, and there's the file that, and it's because the name is so descriptive, config, I know that, oh, it's a global configuration parameter. Okay, so this is half of the string height. Okay, and I see you put that here and here. So the top, okay, so you're just doing a little math to calculate that stuff. That's cool. Get position by definition. So you're getting the horizontal and the vertical out of this map. You have an image width, image height, string width, string height. Okay. So you're getting position X and position Y. So you're calculating the positionings, which we just saw. And so if it's center, you're going to calculate, you're returning the center X from the positionings. Otherwise, okay. So I see what you're doing here. You're turning whatever is in horizontal, which is here, into a keyword so that you can use it to get the value out of positionings, which is a map. And so I'm assuming horizontal would be either left or right, because that sounds like horizontal. And then you're doing the same with vertical here, so it'd be either top or bottom. I see what's going on. And so horizontal is a string, and here I see you're using horizontal. Could be center. If it's center, you get the center X, and if it's left, you pull out left from positionings, and if it's right, you pull out right from positionings. Yeah, and then you have this other else, which is in case, I guess, horizontal is not in there, is not right or left, then you're going to do this other fallback, which you're going to read it like a number. That's what I see here, and that is like a lot of logic that I wish would be a little clearer. So see this, I'm gonna write it how I think it might be better to do. And you can, use your judgment here. So let's say it's a case, because it's a pretty simple thing, and we're gonna do horizontal. And see, we can even include this in here. So I'm gonna delete this, what I just wrote. I'll do it over here. Case horizontal. I really like case analysis because it just makes it all clear that in the case of a case, or even in a cond that can get more complicated, the decisions you're making and the things you're basing those decisions on become very clear. Whereas here, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of like default logic that you're relying on that is just a step too far. Let's put it that way. And then you're relying on it. If it's not in there, then it's going to be a number, which is also it's also another thing to know, right? Where I'm going to do it like this, where I'm going to say left. Then we're just going to call. Just going to call left positionings, and if it's right, we're going to do right positionings, and then the else case you could do max 0 read string read. Yeah, I wouldn't do a read string. I would do Clojure.eden read string. Or if you know it's a number, if it's an integer, you would do integer horizontal, like that. That's a lot safer. If you know it's a number, just read it as a number. Don't mess around with read string, because there could be something else in there. This is a lot safer. You could also do it like this: parse int, long, parse long. Parse long. Sorry, like that. Okay, so to me, this is a lot clearer that what is going on is you're just doing a lookup of some value in the positionings, and then having a fallback of horizontal being a number. Like that's what you're doing, and it should just be clear like that. I think you were trying to remove this duplication where you saw, oh, there's a string left, and I could turn it into a keyword left, but it's just not worth it. If you had 1,000 of them, yes, it would be worth it. But 2, it's not worth it. See, you can see how clear this code is, that it's like, to me, it's very, very clear that this is so much more readable, that the repetition actually helps you read it, because it's more like a table. Like, okay, center pulls out center X, left pulls out left, right pulls out right. Okay, so then we can get rid of this. And I would do a similar thing for horizontal. For vertical, and make it the same code like that. If you want to pull out more duplication, there's definitely some there, like this center to the keyword center X and the left to keyword left, that could become a function. And so if it's, let me write that function instead of just talking about it. Okay, so this would be horizontal keyword, let's see, horizontal to keyword. And it's going to take an H, and it's going to do, I mean, this is even just like a map, so I'm not even going to, horizontal to keyword, it'll be center X, left. So you see what I'm doing? I'm just pulling out, this data from the differences on each line. And then I would do something like this. I would say if let key horizontal keyword horizontal, then I would do get positionings key, otherwise parse it as along. You could do that too. And I think that this is also clear. I kind of like the inline thing, but you might find another use for this horizontal to keyword, maybe. Another thing you might do is put some, this is just speculation. I have no idea if this is going to be better, but you could put a little bit more structure into this map. So you could say horizontal center left right, like that, and then vertical center top bottom, like that. And then you don't have this problem with X and Y, which I believe is the real reason why this if statement even came to be in the first place. And you're just looking in this top one in this position X, you just pull out the horizontal map and you got all the information you need, and the horizontal will just look up directly. I mean, you would have to turn it into a keyword. The same here. It's just another idea for exploring. Oops. I pressed a weird key. Happens often in Emacs. Okay, now that's, just like I said, it's just an idea. Font metrics, string width, string height, image width, image height, get position by definition. Okay, so you're basically wrapping this function, but with putting the position here, putting the image information here, and then the string information here. Yeah, so I'm usually a little skeptical when I see functions that kind of pass responsibility like this. I'm not exactly sure why this is making me have a code smell. My spidey sense is tingling because you're doing it here. So this is like pulling out some values from these metrics, and then it's calling a function, and then that function is calling a function to get more information, and then it's finally producing the result, which then bubbles up to here. So it's, I mean, I definitely write stuff like this too, but I'm just wondering if you're not missing some possible juicy, nice abstractions, because you're basically saying, well, all these calculations that happen at the top, let me put them here. And like, see, that's the other thing, is you're doing it in two different ways. So this one, you're doing a lot of your calculations at the top, and this one you're doing your calculations at the top in this way, like inline in the let. In this one, you're doing it as a function call, and then you're doing your inline calculations at the bottom. I think that's why it's making me feel funny. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this code. It's just that you have to kind of trace through, okay, how do I get a position? Well, first I get all this font and image things, and then I just pass the responsibility to this next function. And what is it? The first thing it does is it passes responsibility to this other function. It does a bunch of calculations. I take those and I do more calculations on top. So it's just hard to read through, and like I just feel like, I guess here I don't really have a sense of what I'm going to get back, right? Like I would much rather see this here, because that's what I'm going to get back ultimate. I'd rather see that here, and then all this font stuff be put into its own function. Yeah, that's you know, I don't know what to say, but I feel like this function is very mysterious. This would be much more helpful to be right here, especially if it's called get position. When I see this, I see that's get position. And yeah, maybe you should do the same pattern you did up here, where you do some calculations that you can give a name to at the beginning. Like all this font stuff, maybe that can go into a calculation, and then inline this down at the bottom. Also, you could inline positionings into the let, because it's also very short. It's just one line to call that. All right. I guess I feel like now I'm not clear. Yeah, what I'm saying is this. Of course, this needs to change image width, image height. And then this could go inline in this let, so we can get rid of one level of let. Right? I think that, to me, this function doesn't add anything on top of this. And then you could also take this, or maybe like the image width stuff could be its own thing, or the string width and string height could be its own thing, and pull out its own font metrics. And that would be hidden away, like you would never have to see it in this function. Yeah, this is clearer to me. All right, get params, merge image defaults, select keys, params, allowed form keys. This seems very familiar. It's up at the top too, so get rid of that one, assuming they're the same. Add text line, text outline effect. Okay, this looks like a bunch of drawing commands. I'm gonna assume they're right. I mean, I'm not gonna mess with that. If 1 equals outline, otherwise you don't do anything, and you always return the image. Okay, that's cool. Add text line. Okay, so this is all like mutable stuff. Mutable, it's sequential imperative kind of stuff. That's cool. Add text just calls add text line, which I've already said I'm not a fan of functions that just do this one little thing like this. They just make me jump around a lot in the code. Anyway, I'm not gonna fight it. Resize image. Yeah, see, it's kind of the same thing. Save image. See, I don't know why what the difference is here. Process image. Get params on params. Parse the params. take the image, load it, resize it. I like this. Did you? I guess you wrote this. Maybe I didn't see that. Where does that come from? Load image. Yeah, I don't know where. Does that come from common? No. Huh. It's the only place it is there. And is it in config? No. Oh. Aha. I didn't see that up there. All right. Be careful with use because it's like refer all, but a little less safe. And then I got confused again by the fact that I don't know where it's coming from. So load image, resize image, add text outline effect, add text, save image. I like that you can do this. It's because you returned the image and you took the image as the first argument. That's really nice. The issue though is that I guess maybe I would put a bang or something on here just to indicate that this is going to change this image. It's not threading a new image in every time. And then if you're doing that, you might want to call something like due to, because due to is like the threading macro, except it always returns image. It always returns this first thing. So it's usually written like this. So it returns this first thing no matter what. And it's going to call this function on this image, this function on this image, this function in order, of course. And then it's always going to return the image. And so then you don't have to worry about returning image so that you can thread them anymore. It's made for this kind of imperative, like do this on this mutable thing, now do this on this mutable thing. It's made for that. So it also lets you call, just like threading, it lets you call methods as well as functions. So that's nice too. Stream image. Okay, that's a response thing. Memes folder, image path. Where is memes folder? Okay. Create meme. So you're getting a file name, a path, okay. A resource. Okay, that's the image file. And then you might not have it. That's fine. You're just going to return nil. Okay. Process the image and then get the base name. So you're returning the base name. All right. Okay, we saw this before. Available memes into that. Yeah, okay. So I wonder about this, whether you want them in some kind of order or like, do you need order? That's what I would ask. Do you need order? Because this might be better off as a set instead of a vector. So just consider that, because then once it's a set, and if all you're asking is, are you available? Are you in this set? Then that becomes a much faster operation. Get meme path. Okay. Kind of thinking I saw that already. Image, memes folder, image path. This thing, maybe you're doing that already. Then meme exists. Get meme path, image path. Then dot exists as file, meme path. Okay. True, false. Well, that you definitely don't need. That's superfluous. So you could do like this. Boom. Yes. Now, one thing you should consider is, do you can you get away with using files exclusively? Because a file in Java, the java.io.file class, represents a path on the hard drive. It doesn't actually represent a file. It represents a path. And so it has things for concatenating path segments with a slash in between already. That's built into file. So you can do Clojure, Clojure.io /file and do like, home Eric like that, and then some directory. And what it will do is it will take this and add this to it and return a file. Okay, so you can ask this .exists already without having to turn it into a file like you do here. And then what that means is this becomes easier, because then it's just Clojure.io file. You don't have to call it again here. Oh, sorry, it's Clojure.java.io. I forgot. You don't have to call it again here because it's already a file. It might just make things a little bit easier. And I guess less error prone, because then I'm sort of like, wait, does images folder end in a slash? What if it doesn't? And then you see you had to put it here. Like maybe you shouldn't have to. And just something to think about, that you can make part of your interface is I just pass in the name of the image. But then as soon as I get it, I turn it into a file so I can do all the stuff I want to do on it all the time. Yeah, that's just a suggestion, something to look at. I don't know if I went through everything. Handler. Yeah, we looked at this. This actually looks pretty good, where you're creating the meme and then, yeah, I mean, I saw this, but this could be an if let if you wanted to. That would be okay. Yeah, get meme image, get meme by ID, your new meme. Yeah, cool. I like that you're putting the negative case at the beginning, because that's the easier one to read. So keep that up. I like that. Yeah, I think this is really good. It's awesome that you got this working. Some of these projects where you're doing like really heavy image manipulation and dealing with a file system, stuff like that can get challenging. You're deep in the Java world. You did a really good job with it. I just had a few little comments about how to make things clearer, but like it obviously is really well done, well engineered. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's just really nice. All right, thanks a lot. And I should give you some, the little cleanup things I asked you to explore. Maybe I could give you some more features to do. I wonder if you have a GUI. Doesn't have to be JavaScript, but just a little GUI to select the image that you want to do and to type the text. And it could be fast enough that you press the button and you could just boom, see the image right away. That would be cool. That might require a little bit of JavaScript. Yeah, I would give that a shot. Like you might be able to make a form, meme form. Yeah, I like this anti-forgery thing. That's a good thing to do. Right, you're using a drop down. But it might be, I haven't looked at it, so I don't know. it's just going to list the available one. So it's going to be text. I was thinking you could actually click on it, and that would be 100 times cooler. You could see what image it's gonna be, with not just the name. So that would be one thing to do to add to it. You could also add that they can add their own image. That given a URL, like they don't even have to upload it, but just given a URL, you can fetch the image for them and store it temporarily. You could allow uploads too. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, those are, if you wanted to, you could have something where you could store all the generated memes to browse later, and then calculate which ones are the most popular, which images are the most popular. There's all sorts of ways you could go with this. You might want to post stuff to Twitter, whenever I think image and something going viral on Twitter, that would be pretty cool. Every day it would choose a random one from the set of things that people have created and just post it. I mean, that's kind of asking for spam, but it's an interesting problem. All right. Thank you so much. This has been a pleasure to go through and review. I learned a lot, actually, just by looking at this, and I look forward to seeing your changes. Awesome. See you later.